What's good, Savages? Welcome to another episode of Blue Collar Sports. I'm Savage Paulson, and with me, as always, is their Rudolph of Blue Collar Sports, because just like the reindeer, he's the only bright light of this podcast. What's up, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, Stefan. I like it. A very festive themed intro for this edition of Blue Collar Sports, but
Yeah.
it feels different, doesn't it? I'm looking at you and I'm trying to get adjusted to the fact that this is Stefan that I'm talking to, and I'm in a different location. Like it's all new so far in the podcast.
We haven't spoken to each other in a couple of weeks. We've both been very busy, skipped a couple of weeks of Blue Collar Sports. I lost my mustache. You changed location. Everything is it's going crazy. I went without I was trying to trim it and things got out of hand and I looked like something I shouldn't have looked like. And so I had to shave it off and start over again.
I had a
So-
buddy message me after you shaved off the mustache. He's like, "So Zach, when are you going to shave off the entirety of your beard?"
Oh
I was
my
like, not a
God.
chance, not
Yeah.
a chance. Like the last time people saw me without a beard was maybe my first year into the broadcasting industry, definitely college. And I used to be one of those guys like I'd shave it off once a year just to like reset and make sure everything's good. But ever since then, it's like, oh, the beard's fine. I'll keep with it. So I think I would freak people out if I had just went completely clean shaven. I don't think I would be a recognizable person anymore.
When it happened last week, or I don't even remember now, I think it was even 2 weeks ago, I believe. I had to go back and look when's the last time I'd been clean shaven, and even before the mustache, I had a long beard, and I think it was 2022, I believe.
Oh,
The
wow.
last time I was clean shaven. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a minute. And so it was a bit of a shocker to my kids as well, because no one was home when I did it. And then they got home and they were like, what the hell? I go, yeah, that's this is what happens. I was rushing through things and I shaved off my mustache. So anyway, I'm letting it grow back, letting the beard grow back, see how that goes. There's see how much white hair I have up in here. Hopefully it's not that bad, so I could let it grow out a little bit. Um, Zach, there's a lot of things going on in the world of sports, especially in the NFL. We got 2 weeks left to the NFL season. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to start off the episode with this, with the 2 weeks remaining in the NFL season. What storyline are you most excited about to watch in these next 2 weeks? I gave you a list of stuff I wanted to talk about, but maybe something outside of that. So with 2 weeks remaining, Zach, what are you most excited about with these last couple of weeks now?
Well, I wish I could come on here and say it would be the Dallas Cowboys playoff push to try and get themselves in and get the NFC East, but that did not happen this
Yeah.
past weekend. The Philadelphia Eagles winning their game, and the Cowboys, I mean, of course, for good measure, lost it just in case, so that it would be like really, really confirmed that they were not
Yeah.
in any sort of playoff push. So I can't say Dallas Cowboys. What a shift from a few weeks ago. Where it's like, oh, they got some momentum on their side. The defense
I was
looks
so
good.
excited. I really, really thought they were gonna just keep rising and keep winning
Yeah.
football games. And yeah, it's
Dallas
such a
Cowboys
switch.
football there, Stefan. They give you so much hope. They give you a little bit of hope, and then they take it away near the end of the season. So
Yeah.
I wish it was that. But honestly, it is a topic that I really am looking forward to talking about. It's been something that's happened the last couple of weeks, and I can't believe that it's actually happening. That is Philip Rivers is back in the
Yeah.
NFL and slinging it too. Like I know he lost his last 2 weeks of games, but
Yeah.
still, like he's going out there at 44, 45 years old, a literal grandpa out there and throwing dimes on two of the best defenses in the NFL. I will say the first week it was not exactly like it was a close game till the end, but it wasn't really because of Philip Rivers when you would watch that game.
Right.
It was more like Seattle's really not taking advantage of the opportunities that are being given to them. And Rivers, there were a couple of times like, wow, they really don't want to try deep ball with Philip Rivers because he probably doesn't have the arm to do it. So you have these short underneath throws, and every once in a while they try to go medium yards, medium length down the field, and you could tell he just didn't have the zip in his
Yeah.
throw. I don't know about you, but I thought that San Francisco 49ers game, he had a little bit more of a zip to his throws, and he had a little bit of a better game. I thought he was better this week than he was the previous week, despite obviously both weeks being losses in the end.
Yeah, I'll say this, the when I first watched him against Seattle, that's the first thing I noticed, was even on the short routes, his ball had a little bit of lob to it. It
Yeah.
wasn't as like, you know, as it wasn't as fastball. It was more like a changeup, and I definitely saw a difference against the 49ers. He seemed a little bit more comfortable too to just let it go and let it rip. Um, Obviously they lost. He played a good game though, 2 TDs, 1 interception, and went 23 for 35, 277 yards. I mean, it's quite spectacular for a few reasons. Number one, well, his age, was it 45? I mean,
Yeah,
come on,
44, 45.
44, 44. Uh, like you said, he's a grandfather. He's been out of the game for 5 years. It's like basically just been at home, family guy, and doing his
Mhm.
thing, coaching football. And then all of a sudden you get a phone. I try to place myself in a position. I can't. It'll never happen. I've never played pro sports, but I can only imagine being an athlete like that, out of the game for 5 years, just not even thinking about. I mean, maybe he is thinking about it, but not really any connection or any people talking about Philip Rivers ever coming back. I mean, there was more talk about Tom Brady coming back in the last
Right.
couple of years than Philip Rivers, and a- and so to watch him just go out there and be composed and be so calm in the pocket and be able to just trust himself like that. I mean, again, I wish for the Colts and for the storyline that the outcomes of the games were different, that the Colts could at least pulled off a win against the 49ers. I think a lot of people were expecting them, maybe not expecting them to win, but I know watching a few pre-shows uh, before the game that some people did pick them to win. So they were most likely hoping that Philip Rivers could win one big game to keep his team in playoff contention. Technically, they're still in playoff contention, but I think the percentage is like 2%. So, I
Right.
mean, it's interesting to watch for the remainder of the next 2 weeks. But if they're going to have any chance at the playoffs, there's a few teams that are going to have to lose some football games, and they're going to have to win both of their games. So,
Yeah.
I love the story. I love how the NFL has become towards the end of this season a story of old quarterbacks, and also not so old but also not so young anymore quarterbacks that we were questioning, like let Lawrence in Jacksonville, that we're like, well, is this the quarterback we all thought it was? And now he actually seems to be back on track after a couple of pretty mediocre years. So, and to watch Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh to kind of, will this team into the playoffs. I know technically
Yeah.
they're still not there, but with 2 games remaining, they got 2 games up on the Ravens, and things aren't really looking up for the Ravens with Lamar Jackson being injured again and having a back injury that seems to be serious enough to maybe keep him out of the game, at least the next game. So it's definitely fun to watch. Definitely storylines right now of these older quarterbacks just trying to win one, one more time, especially with Rodgers. So yeah, Philip Rivers definitely putting a smile on my face, but I think at the end of the day, it's a pretty sad ending for the Colts, considering the start they had to this season,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
and with Daniel Jones getting injured and, they were going all in too, like, they acquired Sauce Gardner at the trade deadline too, like, they were ready to go and go all in on a playoff push,
Right,
and you just have all that, and then it's amazing how one player goes down and it just totally affects the team. And in this case with Daniel Jones, like him going down, and then you don't have Anthony Richardson still because he's dealing with his injury from earlier in the season, and then Riley
right.
Leonard is dealing with something from practice, and you go into a submergency situation where you're calling up Philip Rivers to try and bring him into the
I
roster.
mean, it's it. I saw a meme earlier that said, "I wish technology was at a point where we could just take Philip Rivers' brain and put it in Anthony Richardson's body." You know,
Yes, absolutely.
I might
He would
we
be
might
like this
have the
otherworldly quarterback.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because honestly, again, it's like I watched him against the 49ers, and I'm just blown away on how he makes it look so easy being
Mhm.
2 games back from not being in the game for 5 years, and I'm just thinking, like, what if this guy was a little in better shape, as obviously he's hasn't played in 5 years, so it's interesting, but man, it's been quite the up and downs for this Colts, organization in the last year with Daniel Jones. It begs to that, like, I know Daniel Jones wasn't having the best games even before he got injured. I think things were going a bit downhill for the Colts and Jones right before he got injured, but still, it's a big question mark now for the Colts because now that this injury is probably going to bleed into next year, and you're hoping that Anthony Richardson can get better and fight for a job a little bit maybe next year. He probably end up being backup quarterback, but also you gotta question when will Jones be ready to come back as well. So it's quite interesting for the Colts. And we'll hopefully see what happens next season for the Colts. Again, I'm talking like they're out of the playoff. Technically, they're not.
Yeah.
Let's hope for a Christmas miracle, and let's hope Old Man River. I also love how the media is so comfortable just calling him Old Man River. I'm like, bro, like if that was me, I wouldn't be so casual about that shit. I'd be like, hey, all right, enough with the old
Look,
jokes now.
44 is a good age. Let's
I
not go
mean,
too crazy now.
I'm 45. I don't feel that old. Like I don't understand. I do get
It's
called.
like those, memes of, you see it's like, in my case is I'm 28, so it's like you see some people's like, "Oh, I've still got many more years," than you watch a football games like, "Oh, look at him, he's 33, a miracle he's still playing in the league at 33." Like, what? So imagine 44, right? Like being able to go out
Yeah,
there. But like what you mentioned with Rivers, like he's got such a great mind for the game. And one of the big things that makes him stand out too is how he's just able to read defenses
yeah,
and just kind of get coverages out of the ways. So sure, it's a lot of dink and dunk underneath throws that he's throwing, but at the end of the day, you got to make those completions, right? And they have been
right.
able to do that against some really tough defenses. And so, there's a part of me, obviously, for the sake of drama and storyline, that you want to see Philip Rivers at this stage go into the playoffs with the Colts. But it's a tough path for them, and that division that they're in, like the Jaguars, are kind of lurking around there. You still have the Texans,
Yeah.
of course, that are a really strong contender. I remember you messaged me a while back saying the Texans are going to the Super Bowl, I think was, the message that you
I
sent me.
I
Definitely the
I did
playoffs.
take yeah, that I the only reason was because defenses for me wins championship, and we've seen it
Yep.
so many times, and there's just something special about this Houston defense right now that just seems to be like every week after week, they just seem to be getting better and more comfortable and more comfortable. CJ Stroud is doing enough to just keep that team above overscoring the other team, but the defense is really what's winning football games right now for Houston. And
Mhm.
so I might have been a bit excited when because I've been I like Houston's. Houston. I like C.J. Stroud, and obviously I love defensive football. Being a Steelers fan, defensive football for me is what I love to watch. So yeah, I may be a little early on my prediction, but the only other prediction I kind of puts a foil into that is that if it's not Houston going to the Super Bowl in the AFC, I think it's going to be Jacksonville.
Mhm.
Like, let's switch it up. Let's keep talking about this because they've been playing some good football, and Trevor Lawrence has been looking almost I wouldn't put him as an MVP favorite, but I definitely put him in like the top five the consideration of maybe if he can ball out for the next two games, maybe he can sneak in to my power ranking top three of MVP right now because they're just everything seems to be going well. Wide receivers, what's his name? Is it Myers? You know,
Jacoby Myers, yep.
yeah, Jacoby Myers, it seems to be clicking with Trevor Lawrence. Like, there's just a lot of things going well for the Jags right now, and I'm excited. I've always liked that class of quarterbacks, like the 2020 from like all these quarterbacks that came in, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, they're in a couple of years there. I forget what year they all got drafted, maybe not all the same year, but yeah, I like what's going on with the Jags. So uh I know are they on top of the division right now? They are, no? They
Yep, they're
are.
currently on top of their division. They
Yeah,
have clinched the playoff spot, they just haven't clinched, the division yet.
right. So it's between them and the Texans basically right now. So
Yeah,
that, I mean,
so
I like it. I like the new emerging teams this year now that the Chiefs are out, and the Patriots are coming back. They're leading the division, the AFC East right now over the Bills. Uh, you got the Broncos kind of like we thought were running away with the division right now, but you got the Chargers kind of creeping in right there. I think they're still in contention at 11-4. So it's
mhm.
exciting in the AFC right now. And my Steelers have 2 games up on the Ravens. So I'm hoping that they can win one of the next 2 games. Uh, might not be as easy as it should, knowing what we know now about DK Metcalf. Uh, Suspended for 2 games, he appealed, and just before I logged on to record the podcast, it was confirmed that the league was holding the 2 game suspension. So DK Metcalf suspended 2 games. He'll lose like something like $555,000 in salary, plus some bonuses attributed to his $45 million, I think, signing bonus or something like that. I'm
Yeah,
not 100%
like
sure.
an injury guarantee and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, he's losing a lot of money right now. Uh, all for something that I guess we'll never really know what happened between a fan. But I guess at the end of the day, no matter what the fan said or did, it's not really an excuse to take a swipe at a fan. Um, I thought he would get 1 game. I was a bit, but I wasn't really that surprised that they gave him both games before the playoff. I think it's kind of sending a message. I think
Mhm.
the league is really against that kind of behavior for players, especially against fans. So, your thoughts on? Do you think this is going to affect Pittsburgh's chance of clinching and winning the division?
Certainly losing a talent like DK Metcalf is gonna have a big impact on the Steelers going forward because I don't think their receiver depth is that strong outside of DK Metcalf, for Rodgers to really throw to. They can still win football games, and again, Mike Tomlin has some sort of voodoo magic where he's just
Yeah,
gonna continually have a winning season each year, so I there but having said all that, with the DK Metcalf stuff, I was surprised. I was shocked when I first saw that video that happened
hmm,
of him just going into the stands and this fan with like the blue hair or whatever. I think it was a Lions fan. It's just like
yeah,
there's been a lot of back and forth of what was said, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, it was caught on camera, and the league is going to be very much upholding stuff where limiting athlete fan confrontation. You don't want to
yeah,
have like a Ron Artest situation,
yeah.
uh,
Absolutely
uh,
not. Yeah,
the malice at the palace sort of deal. The last thing the NFL wants is something like that to be occupying the headlines for them. So, um, saying all that, it's going to be tough for the Steelers. I mean, they're already in a tough spot as it is in that division to try and get back. They're still in it because of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and where there's a will,
yeah.
there's a way each and every year. And I know you know that firsthand. Of
Uh,
just somehow they're still in it, even by the end of the season. Even if they get eliminated by the end of the season, they're still crawling their way to at least be in contention.
yeah,
So it's going to be tough. We'll see with his team. I'm sure like I think of other receivers, like you hope that a guy like Roman Wilson eventually gets the step up at the receiver role. Pat Fryermuth has always been somebody
yeah.
that's in there, but it's kind of tough sledding right now if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. It's just poor timing to be doing this. And on top of that, as you mentioned, the financial implications that against DK Metcalf were that. So yeah, it's just tough all around.
One good thing going for the Steelers right now is they're running game seems to be clicking right now. The last few games, they've been really able to run the ball more effectively than they have early on in the season. So maybe that they'll go and be able to win at least one football game with their running game. Gainwell has been the number 2 receiver, even though he's a running back. I mean
Yeah.
that he made that incredible catch that I still watch on replay. I still wonder how the hell he stayed so focused to try to make that grab. That was pretty insane, and to get up and to be able to score on that catch was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, uh, it's interesting because I haven't been complaining because in the last few weeks, ever since they signed Thielen, it seems to have opened up a little bit of room for DK Metcalf. And then last game, it also opened up a little bit of room for Thielen. And now that Metcalf's not going to be there for the next 2 games, you're wondering like, okay, so now Gainwell becomes your a running back is going to become your basically your wide receiver 1, or is Thielen, or like you said, I think early on in the season we spoke about Wilson and him being potentially a number 2 guy in Pittsburgh behind DK Metcalf in his second season, and he hasn't really brought anything to the table. Unfortunately, this year we haven't seen much from him. So, uh, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm definitely going to be stressing out a lot these last 2 games. I'll say this: when that crazy play was going on at the end of the game, I was standing in front of the TV. My daughter was making fun of me because she was like, "Why is he so upset or invested in this football game?" She couldn't get it because there was a little bit of screaming at the end of the game, a few calls, and I was like, "I can't believe they let the Lions back into this game." And I was like completely dejected when the Lions got the ball back with 2 minutes left, and I was like, "They're gonna
Right.
drive," and then. But here's the funny thing. So I'm looking at the score and I'm so stressed out and focused on just trying to breathe that I was for sure thought they were only down by 3. And I didn't realize what the score was. They were actually down by 5, so they needed to score. So when it got down to third and something or fourth down, I'm like, oh, they're going to kick the field goal. There's going to be a tie game. We're going to go to overtime. We'll win in overtime. And then I see them line up for fourth, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? Are they really going out for fourth? And then I look at the score and I go, oh my God, they're up by 5. I'm like, if they stop this right now, the game is over. And as I'm
Right.
realizing all of this, I'm going, oh my God, they need to score. Fourth down, let's go. As I'm getting pumped up for this fourth down, this crazy ass play happened. And I'm just like, wait a minute. What just happened? What just happened? And only on the replay was I able to see that Amon-Ra St. Brown actually flipped the ball back to Goff before he hit the ground, and Goff came in. And so I thought the play got whistled dead before St. Brown hit the ground for some reason. I could have sworn I heard a whistle as he
Mhm.
was getting pushed back uh, closer to the line of scrimmage. And then this whole Goff, I see Goff flipping into the end zone. I'm like, wait a minute, does he think he scored? And then the announcers are like, oh, that's a touchdown. And then I got completely lost. Then I saw the replay, and then I was like, okay, what's going on right now? It took me a long time, all while I'm standing about a foot from the TV, just waiting, stressed out until they finally made the call that it was pass interference. Uh, yeah, it was just a crazy sequence. And I'm like, yeah, definitely my blood pressure was definitely through the roof for a few minutes there, trying to like breathe. Cause I knew that if they lost this game, that meant like their chances of now not only winning the division but making the playoffs go down significantly. And
Right.
I needed a bit of bad luck on the Raven sides, which actually happened during Sunday Night Football, where Lamar got hurt and was taken out of the game, and subsequently they lost the game, which helped my Steelers. Obviously, I didn't wish for Lamar Jackson to get hurt, but
Right.
it happened, and I'm a Steelers fan, so I ain't gonna cry about it, unfortunately. So
Yep.
football gods
Yep.
wanted that way. So uh, yeah, I felt sad for you that your Cowboys were out of playoff contention, because I feel like it takes away from the enjoyment of the last few weeks of football right before the playoffs. Like when your team is
Yep.
no longer in contention for the last, no matter how many weeks, the last, at least you get to watch some footballs with no emotional attachment for the next couple
Yeah.
of weeks. So you're able to
Yeah.
maybe enjoy certain games that you wouldn't have enjoyed as
I,
much, you know?
I'm going to enjoy Joe Milton coming in for the final game of the season, and they bench Dak for the last game because there's no other. So we'll
Yeah.
see how this. I don't know how much of Joe Milton you've seen, but like from University of Tennessee, and like he has this
Yeah.
cannon of an arm, but he has no accuracy whatsoever. So
Yeah.
like he could throw it like 80 yard, like he could throw a Josh Allen style, like throw it down the field. The problem is he throws it to nobody, and
Yeah.
like he can't hit an underneath
Or to the
pass.
defense.
So
Yeah.
or to the defense. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's so that's what makes up for it. But
Yeah.
look, I hope to kind of see some of him in action just to see where he goes. But
Right.
yeah, at this point now, it's just like, all right, let's see what our second stringers could do because there's not much left. Let's go out there and play spoiler, right? And just be the
Yeah.
spoiler team. But yeah, trying to enjoy the rest of the NFL now, but from a neutral standpoint, and try and enjoy the football games for what they are as we get closer into the playoff push. But yeah, I'm just looking at the standings here and just seeing how things are kind of lining up. And one of the other things I wanted to mention too was I thought that game between the Seahawks and the Rams on Thursday night a few nights ago was
Yes.
something else.
That
Just the
was a
comeback in
crazy game.
overtime and
Yeah.
having to go for two for the Seahawks so that they could win the division in that game because they couldn't
Yeah.
settle for a tie. So they had to go for two and being able to pull that off. And I think Sam Darnold was able to get the monkey off his back a little bit, from Minnesota last year, where the final two games he
Yeah.
just was absolutely disastrous. So I think this kind of helped him in terms of showing that, hey, I could win these key football games and I can lead my team. And it's more and more as the year goes on, Seattle continues to be the winner of that trade of essentially them getting rid of Geno Smith to bring in Sam Darnold to be their QB. Like the more and more that is paying off for them as a great decision. So I also wanted to mention that too in terms of the playoff race.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we saw what happened with Darnold last year, so it was good to see him in a meaningful game being able to muster some sort of effort enough to will his team to victory and a crazy ending to that game as well with the 2-point conversion. So good for the Seahawks. They're currently sitting at top of the NFC. Uh, will they stay there? Maybe. I don't know. There's a who's behind them right now.
San
Uh,
Fran and LA.
yeah, and the Bears also. So, the Bears are right there. They have still a chance, I
Yep.
believe, to win the division, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's interesting to see. It's going to be fun to watch the end. I wanted to talk to you something I actually forgot to put on the episode sheet. Uh, Tua being bench. That kinda came out, I don't know, maybe for you, it doesn't really come out of left field, but I was a bit surprised by that. I know they're not winning football games and they're out of the playoff, but and then subsequently, right after it was announced he was benched, like a day or 2 later, now they're talking about maybe releasing him and that he probably not won't be back in Miami, and I was like, "Wait a minute." I guess it makes sense considering everything we've gone through with Tua in the last few years with the concussions and not winning football games, not making the playoff, whatever it
Mhm.
is, the reason, but, uh, yeah, I didn't really know what to make of that. What's your thoughts on this? Like, were you surprised at all by this, or is it something you expected?
I was a little surprised considering they just signed him to an extension last year
Right.
and like the extension kicked in last year.
And
So
they owe him so much
um
money. Like, they owe him like
mhm.
$54 million in guaranteed money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're looking at is sometimes, you kind of analyze what you've got at QB, and there's been a lot of talk about the QB classes for the next couple of years in terms of like how good it will be in the NFL draft. So, at this point now, it's Mike McDaniel. It looks like I thought he was going to be the first head coach let go the way
Yeah,
that team was going, but
we
I
both
think
did.
it's becoming a little bit more clear that it's like Tyreek Hill and that locker room just seems very, very like toxic
Yeah,
right now in Miami. And so I think they like McDaniel enough to have him steer the ship because we have to remember with Miami too, it's very easy to throw McDaniel under the bus and in a lot of cases rightfully so. But McDaniel also kind of has had over the last 20 years the most amount of success as a head coach for the Dolphins when you really think about it.
Right.
Like you think back to the last 20 years of Dolphins football, there hasn't been that much success there. There's been like little brief spots here and there, but McDaniel has been one that has helped them get to the playoffs, had those electric offenses a couple of years ago. So I look at all of that, and I think they're giving him a chance to analyze who he wants for his QB. And obviously, they put in Quinn Ewers to be the quarterback. Texas pride over here,
Yeah.
Longhorns. But Quinn Ewers getting thrown in there, getting a look. But I think they're kind of looking at everything and saying, you know what, do we really want to commit another couple of years to Tua, or can we go out there and get a QB that we think we can put in and implement the offense? We saw that in Denver with Sean Payton when he came in. A bit of a different situation with Sean Payton coming in. He has 1 year of Russell Wilson, and
Mhm.
he's like, all right, I'm not keeping Russell Wilson around. I want to go out and get my own quarterback. And he ends up drafting Bo Nix. And we see how that's turning out for them now with a guy that he likes in his offense. When
Right.
Mike McDaniel came in, he was like, I'm going to build the offense around Tua. I'm going to try and accentuate all the positives with Tua. And that worked out for the first little bit. But I think they know what they have in Tua. And I think they want to, take the risk and say we can find a better quarterback out there, because I think at the end of the day, Tua Tagovailoa is like a top 20 quarterback. Like I think
Yeah.
he's like in the top 20 in terms of QBs, and I think they want to try and develop a QB and try and reset that locker room, because one of the other things as well, whenever you watch those press conferences from Tua as well, they're just odd, aren't they? Like they
Yeah.
just they lack a certain confidence in Tua, and I for a time really liked Tua Tagovailoa, but there's clearly like something that's shaking up that locker room where the vibes are just bad there. So
Yeah. I
I think at the
agree.
end of the day, that's why they decided to move forward.
Yeah. You know who would look good in a Dolphins jersey? Joe Burrow.
Ooh, yeah, Burrow in a Dolphins jersey would be nice.
They tried everything to get him during their draft.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, when they were drafting Burrow that year, they tried very hard to trade up to get him, and they weren't
yeah.
able to. That's another interesting storyline that I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on in the offseason is the Bengals. Like, a lot of talk about Burrow even possibly pulling a Andrew Luck and just saying, "Sayonara football." Like, "I've had
I'm
enough of
out.
this." Like, I can't that's the the that's what happens when you play football with a shitty offensive line for so many years.
Yeah.
Like, it's
No,
like
it's true.
it
I mean, that was the thing when he got drafted by the Bengals. It was like, well,
yeah.
this offensive line is like absolutely awful.
Mhm.
Like, then he got injured his first year, and then he comes back second year, brings the team to the Super Bowl, but that was still a really bad offensive line.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, man, if they're able to figure out this offensive line situation, they might have a really good team. But they kept investing in skill players. They kept
Yeah.
investing in your Jamar Chases, and they kept investing in a bunch of receivers and options for Joe Burrow, but then kept leaving the offensive line behind. And he just keeps on getting sacked each year. And it's like, you could only throw so much talent on the wide receiver end of the ball, but if the guy has no time to throw it to them, what's the point of having these all-star receivers to be able to
Yeah.
get to? So,
It seems so logical now we're talking about it. You're like, "Okay, we're gonna get a really good quarterback. What's the next thing we should get? Uh, our offensive line, what does it look like? Oh, it's pretty shitty. Should we invest in the offensive line to protect our superstar quarterback that we just drafted? Maybe, or we could draft a bunch of wide receivers and then
yeah,
3 years down the line, pay them crazy amount of money, all while
yeah,
still not upgrading our offensive line. Should we do that? Oh,
yeah,
yeah, we should do that. Like, it's so nonsensical. It's just it's weird to me because it feels if I was and I'm hypothetically, if I was a professional football player and I was playing in Cincinnati, I would get the feeling that the owners and the team management aren't really interested in winning football games. They're just they're interested in other things. It might
yeah.
you might still be making money as an organization. Who knows? I don't know. But it doesn't seem like winning seems to be a priority. It definitely wasn't before Burrow got there. They were one of the most awful team for many years. I mean, they
Yep.
didn't win a lot of football games for a long stretch for a long stretch. So it's and now you go, hey, we invested all this money, we drafted this really great quarterback, and what? It's been 5 years now, and you still haven't invested in the number one thing you should to protect your quarterback. It's
Yeah.
just weird. It's really
Yep.
weird, and it's going to lead to either Burrow looking somewhere to play football somewhere else, or he's just gonna go, "I'm gonna take my ball and go home because I I wanna be able to remember or speak fluently by the time I get into my 50s." You know what I mean? Or be
Right.
able to walk properly because he's been getting injured a lot, and I'm pretty sure some of it has to do with him getting tackled and sacked so many times behind the line of scrimmage. So it's another
Yep.
interesting storyline. There's a lot of little of these storylines developing through, especially the situation with Tua and all sorts of different situations. So it's interesting to keep an eye on. Moving on, a few more things about the NFL. If I was to ask you, Zach, to give me your top three MVP contenders right now in the NFL with 2 weeks remaining, who would they be?
In no particular order, I would say Josh Allen for sure deserves being in consideration for MVP again. I would say Matthew Stafford, the way that he has carried that Ram squad. I know they lost to the Seahawks this past week,
Hmm.
but um, that's a team that like this has been one of the best years I've seen Stafford play, and he has just been on another level with LA. So I would throw him in there, and then I would also throw in Drake May just for the turnaround with the Patriots and second year, the way that he has been able to ascend. So those would be my three in no particular order. If you were to, put a gun to my head and ask me who I think the MVP is right now, I would say Josh Allen. I think that's a guy that like this year, there have been so many times when you look at the Bills where they were out of football games and they're able to get back in off of the back of Josh Allen. And to me, that makes you incredibly valuable. In fact, some might even say the most valuable player in all
Hmm.
the NFL. So for me, he is my MVP. I think Drake May deserves consideration, but you consider everything with you consider everything, the schedule that the Patriots have been on, and uh the I take that into account with Drake May. And in the case of Matthew Stafford, there have been a couple of losses in there where, if you want to be the MVP, you got to win some of those football games. And I don't necessarily blame him, but
Right.
you have to come up clutch. I think more of Josh Allen games where he just completely took over and was the best player, like pure football player on the field. So for me, the MVP would be Josh Allen, but those would be my three that I think are in consideration.
Interesting. I didn't really have Josh Allen in my top three, but you kind of convinced me otherwise. I think I kind of forgot about him. I think he was a bit inconsistent early on in the season. I think there was a lot of
Mhm.
up and downs, a lot of games we assume or expected them to win. They didn't win, or he didn't play as well as we expected him to play early on in the season. I kind of pushed him aside. He's been in the conversation for MVP for the last almost every year now since he's been drafted, or maybe not since he's been drafted, but when he started playing well a few years ago. So yeah, I guess you have a great point. I had Drake May simply. He almost fell out. He wasn't my favorite. I think Stafford, the way he's been playing with the amount of touchdown to interception ratio that he's had this year, and how the team has been playing really well, was pretty much my number one. Drake May was right there as well. He kind of came back this week. It showed me, in a comeback win, and kind of carried his team to a victory last week. So it kind of brought him back. I think I love seeing what I'm seeing from him in his second year in the league. So I'm not quite worried that if he doesn't win, maybe, but I think he'll be in the conversation for years to come now, which makes it interesting. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, there's a lot of other names, but I think the top three now, if I think about it, Josh Allen really has to be in that top three. I didn't really know who else I had in that top three. Like I mentioned earlier, I think there's a lot of guys that have been playing really, really well. I don't think they'll be winning any MVPs, but a guy like Trevor Lawrence has been playing spectacular football for the last few weeks, and his stats are, I'm not quite sure. Um, what did I say here?
Pull him up here.
So I mean,
I have him at 26 TDs, 11 interceptions, and nearly 3,500 yards passing. But he'll get to that 4,000 yard mark by the end of the season, I say. So
right. So he's fourth right now in TD passing, passing touchdowns, behind Prescott, behind Goff, behind Stafford is just running away with it. 40 touchdowns. That's
yeah,
insane. So I,
yeah, he's having a tremendous season.
yeah, yeah, that's like wow. He's got 40 touchdown, 5 interception. I mean,
He's
4,200
been
yards.
incredibly efficient.
Yeah, very efficient. So yeah, good odds. I'm that obviously it's fun to watch a tight MVP race going towards the end of the season. I think it's not 100% decided on who the MVP is. Also, for the offensive player of the year, there's so many choices. You got JSN. You also got Puka Nakua with the Rams. I think there's a lot of, maybe even Taylor with Indianapolis, although he's been kind of uh, non-existence in the last couple of games, but still,
Mhm.
he's still pretty awesome. So excited to see. Uh, who do you think is going to come out on top of the AFC and the NFC?
Oh man, it's gonna be tough. I mean, the NFC, it's like whoever's gonna win. I mean, really, to me, I feel like it's gonna be anybody from the NFC West is gonna win the NFC because that's just such a loaded division, and there's so much talent there. Um, I can, in good conscience, say the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
Not only from a fan loyalty perspective, but even with their recent string of wins that they were able to gather, there's still a lot of questions I have with them. It would be something if the Bears were able to win. They have to get through a couple of big games over the next little bit, but if they're able to win the division. But if you're asking me today, I think the Seahawks will be able to continue on and hold on and be able to win the NFC. They've had some big games that they won, obviously the Los Angeles Rams game
Right.
recently. But they've been on a streak. They're on a 5 game winning streak. So I look at all that. I see the offense that they've been able to produce as well. And you mentioned Jackson Smith and Jigba, like he's really like established himself as a premier receiver in the NFL. I think we all knew that there was a bunch of talent, and we had heard the stories all the time of, Ohio State had produced so many great wide receivers over the last couple of years. You got your Garrett Wilsons that were able to get in.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but all those Ohio State wide receivers over the last couple of years, if you asked them who the best receiver was of that group, they would have said Jackson Smith and Jigba. And he was like younger than them and
Right.
whatnot. They said he's the most talented. And you're kind of seeing it right now in the NFL with him now being the primary receiver. The Seahawks made a good call to get rid of Metcalf so that they could focus on JSN. So all that to say, I'm gonna stick it out with the Seahawks. I think the 49ers are a close second in terms of being able to clinch the division.
Mm.
Now it's funny, just they've been a team like, to me, like, Kyle Shanahan has to be in consideration for head coach of the year
Yeah, he has to be.
because
I think he's like
the
a
fact
second
that,
favorite right now.
oh yeah, all the injuries that the 49ers have faced this
Yeah.
year, and the fact that they are 11-4 right now as we're recording, that they are in a position to win the NFC. They didn't have Brock Purdy for a set number of games.
Yeah.
A
He
lot of their
looks great.
receivers were injured, and like it's unbelievable how
Yeah.
what they've been able to do. So, the 49ers are a close second. I think that's a well-built football team heading into playoff contention as well. So, but I'm going to say the Seahawks. I think they'll be able to pull it off and hold on to get the victory in the NFC.
49ers have to go through the Bears and the Seahawks
Yeah.
the last few weeks. So if they can win these football games, I'm telling you right now, if they win one of these football games and the other ones, they don't get blown out in the other one if it's a close game, uh,
Right.
they might be my favorite to make it out of the NFC. I might pick them as my super. I'm not ready to pick my Super Bowl yet, but too
Yeah,
early, a
me
little
neither.
bit too early. But
Yep.
the 49ers right now for me on the NFC. I mean, with everything like you said, all the injuries, everything. I mean, I saw Purdy throw 5 touchdowns yesterday. I mean,
Yep.
damn, like he could ball after his
Yep.
injury. We didn't really know what to expect, but yeah. Um, AFC, I think. I mean, Broncos, Patriots. I'm not as interested as it seems in the AFC. I'm just like, okay, whatever. It's like I feel like the NFC race seems to be a little bit more exciting. Um, I'm excited to see the Jags. Most likely, I mean, they can win the last 2 games, and you never know what can happen. I'd
Right.
love to see that. Kind of a little underdog story. They got the Colts and the Titans in their last 2 games, so yeah, they seem to have a easy path for their last 2 games compared to look at the Patriots. The Patriots got to go through the Jets and the Dolphins. All right, so maybe the Patriots. Maybe the Patriots are in good position to stick on top of the AFC. But
Yep.
yeah, it's definitely interesting to see him. I'm looking forward to for the next few weeks, next couple of weeks, to set up this playoff picture, and definitely going to be nail biting, stressful for me because my team's still in it, and hopefully they can pull off 2 wins to finish off the season on a 5 game winning streak, and then cruise into the playoff to hopefully win at least one playoff game and get that monkey off Mike Tomlin's back, saying he can't
Yep.
win playoff games anymore. So it's very
Yep.
interesting. Anything else you want to talk about football before we move on to some other sports news, Zach?
No, I think I think the big thing I should mention as well. What where are the Kansas City Chiefs in all this? Aren't they supposed to be like really really good? Aren't they supposed to be a dynasty team? What happened to the Chiefs?
Yeah, two blown ACLs is what happened, right? Gardner
Yeah.
Minshew, I think, blew his ACL as well last week. No,
Yep. Yep.
that's sad. It's sad. I'm sad. I'm sad because uh, look, I'm not sad, but I definitely thought, and I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying it's over in Kansas
Mhm.
City, but it's not looking good because
No.
I think Kelsey's checked out. I think he's like, I'm about to get married to the richest woman in the world. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Biggest pop star on the planet, you
f-
know.
I don't need to get my brains bashed in anymore and my body
Yep. I
doesn't need
won
to
my Super
hurt anymore.
Bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Patrick Mahomes might be left to be part of a rebuild, although it'd probably be a short rebuild. Uh,
Yep.
I think it's a lot sooner than what people expected. But again, I mean, they might come back. He might come back. But that's the thing, right? It's like he's going to be out. He's going to miss the beginning of the season next year with that ACL injury,
Yep.
right? So you're
Yep.
like, how many games is he going to miss? Who's going to be your backup quarterback? Because now your backup quarterback also has a shitty ACL. So now you're like, okay, are they going to draft a quarterback or are they going to trade for a quarterback? So it's extremely interesting. Who's third string there?
They signed Shane Buccelli, who was the
Right,
third string quarterback for the Buffalo Bills a while
right.
back.
Yeah. So, do you know anything about Bocelli?
I have not seen Buccelli play, so who knows? He could be Tom Brady coming off the bench for all I know, but
Right.
I doubt it at this stage. So
I watched a little bit of the movie Any Given Sunday earlier because it
oh, there
was
you
one
go.
of my favorite movies, and it kind of reminds me of Willie Beeman, third string quarterback coming off the bench after 2 quarterbacks go down. So, yeah, I'm not sure about the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. They've had their time in the sun, and it's time for someone else. Hopefully, my Pittsburgh Steelers put together a nice little run here and get into the playoff, and they surprise a few people by winning a couple of playoff games. So, yeah, a little bit of wishful thinking, maybe, but I'm a positive guy now, so let's.
Yes.
I'll be praying and hoping for the best. Before
Yep.
we move on to some more sports news, I want to take a second to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas. in this time of year. To everybody that's subscribed to Blue Collar Sports, thank you. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. We're available on YouTube at SVG TV, also available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe today so you don't miss any future episodes. This past weekend, we were privy to some quote unquote boxing when Jake Paul, and I do put boxing in quotation marks because I don't think we could quite call that some boxing. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua in a 8-round boxing match. David versus Goliath, I guess you could say, but I guess Goliath was the good guy in this story, if you want. Jake Paul coming out to Hulk Hogan colors and theme song was a little bit much. With his joined by 6ix9ine, the rapper, which I thought were still in jail, but apparently not.
No.
It was a bit much, and I went to bed after the 3rd round because I had enough of that shit. I was like, this, I couldn't look. It's hard for me to be able to sit there and watch this and watch this thing, I guess, boxing. It makes me mad because in my head, I'm looking at Anthony Joshua, and I mean, for the guy is a gold medal Olympic winner in boxing. I don't think people understand how good you have to be at boxing to be able to win a gold medal at the Olympics. And to be able to transition into professional boxing and become world champion, one of the top heavyweights in the last 10 years. And now now he's boxing Jake Paul, the guy that has 13 boxing fights on his record, some against boxers with no experience whatsoever, but that's a different story. Yep. So all this to say that I think these kind of shows, although extremely entertaining, and I did tune in to watch for 3 rounds, are bad for the sport of boxing. Again, I haven't really watched any boxing fights other than these circus acts in the last few years because boxing is not being able to produce any matchup that really interests me. And when they do, I mean, they're few and far between. So I kind of lose interest in just being a fan of the sport. I'd rather just watch mixed martial arts and the UFC and be content with my combat sports that way. But yeah, it was sad for me. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the fight and if you have any thoughts on this.
I didn't see the fight because I have better things to do than see Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua. I was hoping there was a part of me that's like, I know how this routine's gonna go. He's gonna like dance around the ring. He's gonna make sure he limits the amount of hits he's gonna get from Joshua so that he could go out there and say, "Oh, I survived 8 rounds or whatever with Anthony Joshua." Right?
When I found out that he had demanded a 22-foot ring and that it got accepted because he demanded it, I'm like, yeah, the guy's just gonna run around and try to stay away as much as possible, and that's what he did. And he did have an amazing stat, which was the most takedown attempt in a boxing match. I'd never seen that before. And I will say this: the referee of the match was god awful. I don't know how or if they had a talk with him before and said, yeah, you know what? You know when you're supposed to break fighters up? Take your time. Stay away.
Yes.
Dude, I was, after the 2nd round, I was screaming my head at the ref. I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. This is just, it's a clown show. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's totally fair. I mean, it is just, so I have actually watched, I watched Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford earlier this year.
That was the last boxing match I watched before that, and the first boxing match I had watched in a very, very long time. That was a good boxing match.
That one I was legitimately like, all right, we're really investing here. This is like a, a title fight. And and we wanted to see, can Canelo Alvarez beat this Terrence Crawford guy, or can Terrence Crawford, overcome Canelo Alvarez? And we obviously saw the results of that with Crawford being able to come out on top. That was a fun fight, and that whole night I thought was good. I wanted to like, it was one of those deals like I really kind of like boxing, but the big thing with boxing is that there's all these different federations, all these different belts, and they have to get through the promoters, and then they have to sign off on the fights, and then they got to determine the deals on the fights. Like
Yeah.
there's so much politics in boxing where, if you wanted to see two boxers fight in their prime, it's going to take forever if at all happens. Like I remember all the way back when it was Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, and that was going to
Yeah.
be the money fight. And everyone was like, when is that fight going to happen? It took years and years. And then Mayweather finally said yes, because he knew he was still in peak condition and Manny Pacquiao was on the decline.
Right.
So he could go around there and win his fight. And so uh, I don't mind me a freak show fight every once in a while where you just have something that's completely different. That's how MMA kind of got built upon, was, those early UFC shows were always that, can the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy beat the boxer, or
Right.
can the kickboxer beat this guy? Like it's always been built on that. And of course, like Butterbean had a whole career being the freak show fighter, right? It's like, oh,
Right.
here's
Right. Right.
Butterbean, he's going out there and fighting all these people. But in the case of Jake Paul, it was just, I think it was well past its expiration date at this point, where there was kind of the initial intrigue of like, oh my gosh, this guy, like we all thought he was just this YouTuber, but he's going out there, he's beating guys, even if they were not the most skilled. And then it escalates to, wow, he beat, Tyron Woodley. But then you think about it, it's like, well, Tyron Woodley wasn't exactly known for his striking ability in mixed martial arts. He was
Right.
known as more submission guy, but he saw he could get a big payday out of being in a Jake Paul fight. And there was that kind of intrigue, like, can this Jake Paul guy face off against a guy who's a fighter, who's his domain isn't exactly striking, but he is known to, in the combat sports world. But then it totally overstretched its reach. And then I think even Jake Paul was kind of realizing that by putting in the Anthony Joshua fight, because you could just tell, just watching the highlights, who was the more skilled boxer
Yeah.
in that. And that's, the world class Anthony Joshua, who I know has been gone, funny enough, on his own, not a strong decline, but he hasn't been at his best recently compared to years
Absolutely.
past.
Yeah.
But still, like he like you watched it, and then when Jake Paul was just up in the corner, and you could just see that Paul was panicking in the corner, like trying to dodge all the punches.
Yeah.
And Joshua was just firmly in control, got that right hook. And I think that's what people wanted at the end, was to see Jake Paul get knocked out. And so they saw that. They saw him break his jaw.
Yeah.
I think you got a lot of fans that were happy about that, considering
33 million
how
people
people feel
watched
about
that
Jake
fight.
Paul. Yep, exactly. So, but like what you said, it's not great for the sport. Like, just
No.
because 33 million people are watching, how many of them are going to stick around and watch more of it?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's one thing to have people be brought in. It's another to have them stick around and continue watching,
That
right? So,
doesn't make you
um,
want to watch more boxing.
no,
No.
it's more of a one-off thing,
Yeah.
right? So again, I don't mind me a one-off. Like, I don't mind a one-off every once in a while, but it feels like boxing right now, all it's been is one-offs. Like, there hasn't been
Right.
this, like, other than the Alvarez Crawford fight, there hasn't really been the big, oh, we gotta drop everything so we can watch this massive boxing match. So that's how I kind of view the Jake Paul. So hopefully that means it's the end of the Jake Paul boxing experiment, but I
I
highly
don't
doubt
think
that at
so.
this
I
point.
don't think so, but I think it'll be a lot less interesting the next few matchup, because he's just got his jaw broken, so he kind of loses a
Yep.
little bit of his selling point. But yeah, not good for boxing. Please bring back some good old fashioned just boxer versus boxer, no, not boxer versus YouTuber, and maybe I'll start tuning in for some boxing. But until then, I won't be spending much money for any of those fights. Uh, moving on, one last thing I want to talk to you about. Uh, I I was gonna ask you about your react, because it's been a couple of weeks now, and I honestly I haven't listened to the episode of This Is Wrestling where you give your thoughts and reaction on John Cena's last match. I know
Mhm.
the last episode we spoke about John Cena and what we thought was gonna happen. Uh, I'm gonna give it a listen. So I was gonna ask him like, oh, maybe I should ask him about his thoughts, but I don't. I assume you weren't very impressed by the ending. I don't know. I might be wrong about this. So I'd rather listen to the episode first, and maybe we'll come back to
Yeah.
this in a future episode.
I
Um,
I I will recommend people tune in because I think they'd be surprised about some of my thoughts
okay.
on the match. I will say that. I think they'd be surprised. I think I lay it out pretty well, and of course, I am my usual. Whenever I talk wrestling, I'm a very passionate individual about it.
Yeah.
So there is a rant in there, but I do think I explained it pretty well, and so that'll be my tease. How about that?
Perfect. So tune in, guys. Go subscribe to This Is Wrestling. Go ahead and listen to the John Cena thought episode, which was the last episode or the second last episode, right? We are December 23rd right now. So I
It
think
is
you get
December 23rd. I did just release an episode of the podcast of This Is Wrestling
so
today as we're recording. So
so
so it's not going to be the most recent one, but it will be. You can tell which episode it will be. I think even said John Cena's last match review,
so
so you'll be able to find it.
let's go and let's go listen to that, and then we'll and that during next episode we'll bring it up, and I'll listen to the episode, and I'll also give my thoughts and what I thought about the match and the ending. One
Yep.
last thing before I let you go, I wanted to get your quick thoughts. We have the Winter Olympics coming up in February, and that means hockey, which is one of the only. There's a lot of Olympics winter sports that I enjoy, but definitely hockey is the one where a lot of Canadians kind of tune in to keep an eye on. Um, any thoughts, any projections? What's your thoughts? What has been, you know more about this. I'm not really into the hockey scene. I do try to pay as much attention because I do uh, run a sports talk podcast. So it'd be good for me to kind of pay attention a little bit, other than football, baseball, and a little bit of basketball. I try to sprinkle in some hockey into that. Um,
Mhm.
and I have been paying attention to the Montreal Canadiens and the Pittsburgh Penguins, so I'm kind of that kind of limited to the sections. But
Right.
Winter Olympics coming up, Team Canada. Uh, what are you hearing? What are the big talking points surrounding Team Canada coming up? What are the quote unquote big question marks? Is there some controversy brewing on who is going to make the team and who is not going to make the team? Goalie wise, who do you expect? Is there any surprises that we inspect? What's your general thoughts and ideas on what you've been hearing and just your thoughts in general on Team Canada coming up for the Winter Olympics?
Yeah, we're still kind of awaiting a final roster. There's been invitations kind of sent out and tryouts. We know about some preliminary players, and it's the players you would expect for Team Canada. So Sidney Crosby's going to be on the team. Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Kale McCarr is going to be on there. Braden Point and Sam Reinhart. So that's kind of the initial members of the Team Canada roster that'll be on there. We're going to figure out how the rest of the players are going to be, but there have been some kind of predictions on who's going to kind of fill out. The big question will be goaltending for Canada. Canadian goaltending has kind of not been at a certain level for a while. There's still good Canadian goaltenders, don't get me wrong, but there's not been the Martin Brodeurs or the Roberto Luongos or the Marc Andre
Right.
Fleury's that are kind of coming in. There's other guys like there's talk about Aiden Hill and Jordan Binnington, like kind of being the goaltender for Team Canada. So,
Mackenzie
um,
Blackwood.
Mackenzie Blackwood is also in consideration. Yeah, so there's some guys there on the goalie side, but these aren't exactly like high profile goaltenders, right? A lot of the goaltending in the NHL has gone more towards on the American side, or going on European.
Yeah.
There's been a lot more of that kind of goaltending. So it's very top heavy when it comes to Team Canada with some of the players that are kind of being looked at. Like they've certainly got the goal scoring touch there and the playmaking ability. And so I think that's kind of the question on how they're going to be able to roll together. Obviously, you had the Four Nations face off this past year, last NHL season, which was a lot of fun. It was kind of a preview of what was to come for the Olympics. And obviously Canada was able to
Right.
win that. The Americans are have a really strong hockey team. Their hockey program has gotten really, really good over the last couple of years, and there's been a lot of really good prospects. I think of the Kachucks. I think of in my case as an Ottawa Sens fan, Jake Sanderson is a great defenseman as well. And so There's a lot of really good players on the American side, so they're kind of one of the favorites as well to go through. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. We haven't gotten a final roster yet for Team Canada. There's still a lot to be excited for. Um, in terms of how they're able to do, there'll still be a very good team. Obviously, when it's hockey in Canada, the expectations are sky high, no matter what the talent level is on the team. But I think the big question going in is how the
Right.
goaltending will look. Can it be stable? Can it be consistent enough to take them through back and again, this is the return of NHL players to the Olympics as well. For the last couple of years, we didn't have NHL players in the Olympics. It was more guys that, unless you were Russia, I believe the KHL players were allowed to play uh, in the Olympics. But other than
Right.
that, it was guys that were like kind of out the outskirts or playing lower level, or in some cases, like a high level junior player would make the Canada roster. But yeah, so still trying to determine the roster. It should be interesting where it goes. The big question for all of the hockey uh for hockey at the Olympics is that the arena is shorter than what they expected. Like there's been so many botches in the creation of the arena in Milan, Italy, uh, in terms of how that arena has been constructed, and to the point where there were concerns about the safety of the rink, about like because it's going to be smaller than an NHL size rink, if I recall. It's going to be
So
more, or
the
no,
ice surface is gonna be smaller?
the ice surface is different from the NHL's. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was smaller or bigger, but it was like
Because
to the point where,
normally it's bigger, right?
yeah, like an NHL size rink is pretty big. Um,
Right.
I'm just pulling up the story here, but I know that was one of the big things about the ice rink there is that they had a whole bunch of problems. It's still being built as we speak, by the way. Like it's not completed
Yeah,
yet.
and I heard
And
that it's not even completed. I'm like,
yeah.
it's
So
pretty
there was concerns with the way that the Olympic size rink was going to be. Yeah, so it's going to be short. It's shorter than NHL dimensions. So there
wow.
were concerns about NHL players going in there and the safety aspect of it. Um, I could tell you that like some rinks, like not all rinks are built the same. But when you're talking about the NHL and you obviously have a lot invested in these players, the players kind of help bring a lot to the league, and you're sending them over. You've already taken the break in the middle of the season to accommodate the players going to play in the Olympics. I
Right.
mean, that is quite the gap. That if this rink size is shorter, but the Olympic officials have assured them that that's going to be okay. Like it's going to be safer. It's going to be safe. It's just to be a bit smaller, but that has been kind of the big debate right now in terms of the Olympic hockey because the dimensions are different than an usual NHL size rink.
I heard rumors, I might be wrong about this, but is there discussion that from the NHLPA that they would not attend the Olympic if they couldn't get this ice rink?
If there were some discussions about them potentially not going, if they determined that the rink wasn't safe enough, there were some kind of bubblings about that, um, and they would just pull back on the NHL players. That would suck just in
Right.
general because I think a lot of people would want to see the NHL players compete in the Olympics, but
Yeah.
um, there was some discussion on that. It's kind of died down the last little bit. We'll see kind of in January in terms of where the building of that ice hockey arena will be at. But yeah, that's kind of been the big controversy right now is just the size of the rink. That's really where a lot of the discussion has been.
Um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Obviously, I'm expecting America, the United States versus Canada in the final. That I think that would be awesome.
Mhm.
But again, you got, I mean, they might not even be there. So you never know what could happen in the Olympics. They could all go there and shit the bed. And but obviously, we all expect them to be the top two teams in the tournament, Team
Yep.
USA and Team Canada. So I'm excited. I always love the Olympic vibe. I prefer the Summer Olympics myself, but definitely when the NHL players are playing in the Olympics, it definitely brings up my excitement of the Winter Olympic Games. So, looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Zach, thank you so much for making time in this busy time of year, for coming on and talking sports with me. It's been a couple of weeks. I know there's a lot of things that are going to be happening, especially in football in the next couple of weeks. We got the college football that we didn't even talk about. I mean, I've been watching a lot of college football. Um,
Well,
so
those games, there wasn't exactly much to talk about.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
it
they were just kind
was
of blowouts.
right.
So, I mean, poor James Madison University, they were able to get in the playoff and then just got absolutely
Right.
smoked in the first round. So,
There's a lot of discussion to be had if they got the teams right. I mean, there's people that say yes, some people that say no, whatever. There's a big discussion to be had, but maybe next week if we can get together, maybe we'll talk some college ball. There'll be some more games to happen. There's some games going on. I
mhm.
believe. What's the next game? Is it the next games are all between right before New Year's? I believe, right?
Yep.
So
There's a couple of other, non-college football playoff bowl games that are
right,
going on throughout the week, but, yeah, usually it's before New Year's, sometimes on New Year's Day.
yeah,
Like, I remember
31st.
Georgia kicked their winning field goal in the semifinal just as it struck to
Yeah,
2025
yeah,
this
yeah,
past year,
yeah.
so yeah, that's coming up as well.
So maybe if we can get together and maybe preview the next the few games coming up on the at the end of the year, that'd be great. If we make some time for that, obviously we're still have a lot of things to talk about the NFL with 2 weeks remaining. So again, to everybody that subscribed, thank you very much. If you haven't done so, please do so you don't miss another episode of Blue Collar Sports. Zach, again, thank you. I want to wish you and your family Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone, all our listeners. Hopefully, stay safe and hopefully you get together with family and have a great time. So, Zach, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you and yours.
Merry Christmas to you as well,
Thank you.
Safan, and to you and your family. It's always a good time of year. That's where I'm at. I'm here
Yeah,
at the families just to get celebrating the Christmas holidays. So, but no, I always also appreciate the listeners that continue to tune in each and every time we do an episode, and a Merry Christmas to them and a Happy Holidays to them as well. It's what helps keeps us going,
yeah,
and I always enjoy talking sports with you. I keep on telling you every time we do this, it's like, oh, this is great to just
yeah,
kind of have this release to talk about sports after some craziness during the week. So
absolutely.
appreciate of that, and hope you have a Merry Christmas again.
All right. Thanks a lot, Zach. And thank you, listeners. And thanks for listening to Blue Collar Sports. We'll catch you next week. Right on, bud.